Hello and welcome to our new webinar for Astrée and Rule Checker. Today I will introduce the batch mode and with that give you some background information about the files and options that I will introduce and use in this video. Let's start with the content of today's webinar. First, I will give an overview of the batch mode options by providing some general information. After that, I will show you the basic batch mode command, which is needed to run the analysis and can be combined with other options. Before starting the batch mode execution demonstration, I will introduce the options that are used in this video and explain what they do. What you generally need to know when you want to execute a batch mode analysis is that you need a configuration file of the project you want to analyze. This is typically a .docx file, which is an XML configuration file, which contains all needed information about the analysis. In this configuration file, the file paths can be specified either absolute or relative to the .docx file. We will later take a closer look at such a configuration file. Now, let me introduce the basic batch mode command. Even though I demonstrated for Windows, apart from omitting the start/wait command at the beginning, it is the same when running the batch mode analysis on a Linux machine. First, you need to invoke the A launcher. If you have several versions of Astrée installed on your machine, you can specify the build number of the version you want to use for the batch mode. Then the usage of the batch mode is indicated with -b. To specify the server used for the analysis, type -s and specify the server name and the port number. An example here could be my machine and 36,000. To get some output and feedback about the analysis results, you can specify --report file and give a report name. We recommend to always create a report when running the batch mode analysis. Doing it, you will have a text report even when the configuration file is erroneous and before the configuration file has been parsed. I will now give an overview on the additional options that we will use today, and then we will go through some example analyses. Here we have the options overview as a list. -b, -s, and --report file I already introduced, but I will also quickly explain them again. With -b, you start the application in batch mode. Using -s, server name : port number, you specify the server which is used for the analysis with its corresponding port number. Using the batch mode option --report file, you can create a plain text report file which contains all analysis information. As I said before, we highly recommend to always use this option when using the batch mode to have feedback even if there's an error performing the analysis. The option --report only can be used to generate the report files of an analysis which is located on the server without rerunning the analysis. It can be used in combination with --id, which specifies the analysis ID of the project you want to create the report of. If you also have several revisions of the project, you can additionally add the option --revision and specify the revision number. If you're doing lots of batch mode analyses, you might want to use the option --drop. This option deletes the project from the server after the analysis run has finished. Doing that, your server will not be crowded with projects executed in batch mode. If you want to look at the analysis results in the client after batch mode run using --drop, you can combine it with the option --export and give a file name. Like this, the analysis project will be exported as an .aaf file, which you can import into the client again. The last option I will talk about is --user. This option allows you to identify you as the user who runs the analysis. Be aware of the fact that the username and password will be visible in the shell and in the report file when using this option. You can also specify the user in the respective environment variables. How to do that can be found in the user manual of Astrée. Now we finished the theoretical part and we'll get to the more practical part where I show how to actually use the batch mode in a shell. As I said in the beginning, what we need is a configuration file. I already prepared an example analysis and opened it with a client. The next step is to export the configuration as a DAX file. This can be done via Project, Export, DAX Project, and then we need to choose a folder where we want to store our configuration file. I'll take this one, I call it test.dax, save it, and export it. All our configuration and report files are open formats like text, XML files, and so on. That enables lots of different rollout scenarios. We can take a look together at such a configuration file. Here I opened an example I already prepared. So this is a configuration file that we will also use for this video, and all the information about the analysis is stored in here. So we have the ABI, the options listed here. We have the rule checks that are activated, and also have the files that we will analyze that are contained in our project. This is combined in this project just to show you that it is possible to use either relative or absolute path for the files. We will start with the most basic command you can use to run a batch mode analysis. As I explained earlier in this video, I need to add start/wait in the beginning. Since I'm working on a Windows machine, if you're using Linux, just omit this part. Then we need to invoke the A launcher. And if you installed several versions of Astrée on your machine, you can use the build number to specify which version to use. I can also show you how to find the build number. For that, we'll go into the client again. This is just one example. Click on Help, Version, and here's the build number listed. So I will just copy that, close it, and back in the shell, I paste it here. If you omit this step, then the most recent version is used. Now we need to indicate that we're using the batch mode. So I add -b for that. And then we also need to specify the server name and the port number. So this can be done via -s. And then we need to take the server name and port number. We can also find that in the server controller. Here I open the server controller, and here we see the port number, and this is the server name. So I can take chocolate:36,000. Then we need to add the project configuration of the project we want to execute, means the configuration we took a look at. So this is in this folder, so I will copy the path, paste it here, and call the scenarios test.dax. As I will do it for all batch mode analyses and strongly recommend to always do so, I'll specify a report file which contains the analysis output. This can be done by adding -- report file and give a report file name. So I will also put the report file in this folder here, give it a name. So I will just call it scenarios test report. And then we can start the batch mode analysis by hitting enter. Then we'll see all the steps that are performed in the batch mode analysis. This is a quite small project, so it will take a few seconds until the analysis has finished. That is what we see now. So analysis done with success. At the specified location, I now also find the text report here. I can open this in an editor and then we'll see all the output of the analysis. So the settings, processing, pre-processing, the options that are set, and so on. So the whole analysis output is now in this text report. If you already have an analysis that is finished, but you want to create a report of it, this is also possible. To do so, you need to use the basic batch mode command that I explained before. So we'll remove everything but the basic batch mode command here. And then we'll add the option -- report only in combination with the option -- ID to specify the project ID we want to create the report of. The project ID can be found, for example, here in the Open Projects dialog in the column ID. I'll just take the last analysis that I ran, so with the ID 11, and use it here in the shell. So I add 11. When I hit enter now, the report of this analysis is created, and this happens much faster than rerunning the analysis. Back in the folder here, we see that the report has been created. So when I open it, we'll see that the report is complete and has all the information again about the analysis. If you have projects with several revisions, you can also add -- revision to our command here. So I will add -- revision and specify which revision to use. Back in the client, I have this project here, which has 2 revisions with a project ID 1, and I'll take the second revision, add this 2 here, take the project with ID 1, and I will also give the report file a new name. So I will do that with -- report file at the location where I want to put it. So I will put it in the same folder that I also have the other documents. And call it scenarios test 2. When hitting enter, the report is created really quick again. And back in the folder, I have this report scenarios test 2. And when I open it, here you see all the information about the analysis again. So also complete report file without the need of rerunning the analysis. Also possible to create it for a project revision, not just for the whole project. As third and last batch mode analysis,
I will present the combination of an analysis execution as a user and the direct removal of the analysis project from the server after it's run in combination with exporting the project as an AAF file. To do that, we need the basic batch mode command again, plus the option --user, giving the username and password. So I have a test user and choose a secure password. And then we'll add the options --drop and --export, giving again the directory to store the file in and the file name. I will call it scenarios AF. Using the option --user, you need to be careful because your username and password will be visible in the shell and in the report file. The way to prevent that is by specifying the username and password in the respective environment variables. Just as a quick reminder, with the option --drop, the analysis project is deleted from the server after the analysis run, and the option --export exports the project as a .aaf file after the analysis has finished. Of course, you can also use the option --drop without the export option, but for demonstration, I show the combination of both. Here you can see the projects that are listed on the server, and the last one is the one with ID 15. And our next analysis run should not add another project to this list of projects. By hitting enter, we can start the analysis again. Now that the analysis has finished, we can take a look at the projects on the server again and see that there's no new analysis. So the last project is the one with ID 15. Looking into the specified directory for the AAF export, it is listed here, and we could import it in the client again. I hope I could give you a broad overview about our batch mode analysis and how to use it. Of course, there are much more options that can be used, but it would go too far to show all of them in a video. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or want to get more information, please visit our website www.absint.com or write a mail to info@absint.com.